Lobster, you gotta back it. Lobster's a 10, I told you grab it.
Welcome to another chapter review of Attack on Titan, chapter 106. Now this I really liked. We finally got the missing backstory of the 3-year time jump, and we got a lot of answers. And as someone predicted in the comments before, Mr. Olumbogo was actually someone who was sent on a survey mission to good old Paradis Island and then turned friendly. And I really like this chapter. These past few ones have been pretty dark and menacing and kind of brutal and mean, in the sense that we've seen, like, you know, innocent civilians killed, we've seen the army killed, we've seen children crushed, we've seen world leaders smashed to smithereens, but here we sort of get to see a much more positive outlook, which in some ways kind of makes things much more darker. We get a little bit of a look into the past in terms of, like, boats coming to Paradis Island and how Eren's Titan power is used to capture hostages. We get the revelation that there are nations working to overthrow Marley, that there is this secret coalition of Union and secret spies all looking to get in touch with Eldians. And there's perhaps, you know, the most charming scene in the entire series. Well, or at least the most charming scene we've seen in a while. I freaking love this scene. You know, it's basically like, you know, Hanji and the rest of the Survey Corps are meeting Mr. Olumbogo. Sasha asks the question, by the way, Olumbogo, I'm probably butchering his name, but you know what it is, you know, Mr. Olumbogo, whoever's translating it. So she says, by the way, how's your skin black? Which, of course, is, you know, a very intolerant thing, except for the fact that, you know, the good old Walldians have been isolated from every race in the world, so, you know, they don't know there's black people, they don't know there's Asian people, they don't know that there's Indian people. You know, to them, there is just Walldians. Except for, I guess, the Asians or the Ackermans, for whatever reason, but anyway. So then, Olumbogo responds, the one who created us had this way of thinking, that it would be more interesting to have different types of people. The people who become Titans, the subjects of Ymir, are the same. We all exist because he desired it. So who made us? The one who bestowed upon the power of the founder in Ymir. In other words, God. So, I guess it's maybe a Judeo-Christian interpretation of God, because, it is just charming. It was just really nice, because, like, the only depiction of a religion that we've really had in Attack on Titan is, of course, the Wall Cult, and it's just sort of like, oh, the Wall Cult will, the walls are going to protect us, and they're just sort of these, like, you know, fanatics who are holding the Walldians back from the greater truths of the world and the greater importance of civilization. That's what they were, so we get this sort of view of, I guess, a more holistic version of religion, and I just find it very charming. It's like this really equalist message of tolerance and perseverance, and it was really charming. I just love the Survey Corps getting friendly with the people, with the secret agents, and then getting a technological advantage, building a port, Sasha, you know, going crazy over eating the lobster. It was all really charming stuff, and I, you know, love this chapter, which of course makes the revelation that, you know, once we go to the present, much more disturbing. And of course we get the revelation that, like, Zeke has been running this counterintelligence operation this whole time, saving revolutionaries where he can, and that he has this plan to free the Walldians. And the interesting thing is that Zeke's plan is basically gonna kill the rest of the world. It's a plan of complete genocide to unleash the Wall Titans and use them to destroy Marley, the rumbling earth thing, and he wants to meet up. My guess is that he wants Eren to eat him, which will allow Eren to use the coordinate ability, because Zeke has royal blood. Or, you know, there's an implication that Eren might not even need to eat Zeke, that he, you know, him eating Lady Tibber might be good enough to use the coordinate ability. Obviously, the coordinate ability in the Wall Titans and the Rumbling of the Earth is the master endgame. That's going to be the ultimate climax of Attack on Titan. And we have this path where, you know, there could have been this period of reconciliation. There could have been this sort of thing of peace as, you know, basically the world unites against Nazi Germany and the Eldians, like, prove their freedom. But that path of tolerance and understanding and cultural cross-communication has been completely shut off by Eren acting alone. And, you know, whatchamacallit, Armin is probably in his greatest ethical dilemma possible. in the sense that he helped Eren, apparently, with his plan, and he is basically a co-conspirator for genocide and terrorism. And that has basically turned the entire world against the Eldians and Paradis Island. So now they are enemies of the world when they could have become friends of the world, which is especially tragic, since, you know, and if it wasn't obvious enough, the path Ishiyama is taking, they have a scene where they show Eren, like, cutting his hair, and he forms it into a little braid, a little man bun in the back of his head, which, as someone pointed out on Reddit, looks exactly the same as Gabby's. Yes, the Eren-Gabby connection is getting even more pronounced, even less subtle, as we see them as mirrors of themselves. And, you know, Armin is the one who finally realizes that, you know, they're responsible for doing the exact same Marley did to them. So, in a way, they are no better, and they're in an awful situation. And hey, we finally get to see Annie. She's still in that crystal, so who knows? Maybe Eren will finally try and track her now that he realizes that, you know, it is possible to open that crystal and suck out that sweet, sweet Titan juices. But we'll have to wait and see. But, you know, this was a really interesting chapter. It gave us a lot of backstory, a much more lighthearted interpretation in terms of, like, you know, the Walldians finally meeting people from the other parts of the world, using their scheme to get more ships and, you know, kind of recapitulate and get up on the technological advances that they have. And, of course, we have the, you know, Zeke plan of the final salvation. But, of course, that plan means, like, murdering the entire world. And Eren, you know, seems fully committed towards it without realizing the costs, while Armin sees that, you know, there could have been another way. And, you know, you could say this is corny. This is definitely, like, the corny, most lighthearted chapter we've had in a long time. But I really liked it. Maybe I just really enjoyed having the backstory filled in, and getting this sort of overview of what happened over the course of, like, the 3-year time jump on good old Walldian, as well as an explanation for Zeke being a double agent, or at least how that came about. But, you know, this was solid work all around, and I really enjoyed this thing, even if it wasn't the most action-packed. Gave us a lot of answers, gave us a tremendous amount of moral ambiguity, and it also explained why Mr. Olumbogo, where he came from. And now I'm fully on Mr. Olumbogo train. You're the best. Now I see why Hanji says you're a good boy, even if you are kind of inadvertently responsible for, you know, genocide. But, well, that's the other thing that we still don't know. We don't know, like, what led Eren, because that I still would like to know. What inspired Eren to go on his solo mission? How did he coordinate, you know, letting the Walldians know when to pick him up and when to attack and when to get information? It sounds like he was mostly acting alone, and now they kind of want to imprison him, especially considering that the entire world hates them now, and for good reason, considering everything they did. But this was a great, solid chapter. 9 out of 10. Good stuff. Good frickin' stuff. And I definitely love the moral ambiguity coming as we sort of stare into the heart of extremism and have a sense that, you know, there could have been another way, which, of course, cakes on another layer of tragedy. You know, Sasha will probably be just the first of many casualties. And who knows, maybe this series will end with, you know, Armin having to kill Eren as he, you know, because that's the only way to stop the Colossal Titans from the walls of just demolishing everything in their path. And that would be an especially tragic ending. But remember, Ishiyama did say the mist, Frank Darabont's mist, is a huge interpretation. And the mist ends with the main guy, you know, after his gas runs out and he's stuck in the mist with the monsters, shooting his, you know, little son, as well as, like, the 2 people who are with him in the car, and then he wants to shoot himself, but he ran out of bullets, and then he comes to the horrible, tragic end, where he sees that if he waited a few minutes earlier, or later, then the military would have come to save him. So, we might be heading up to that sort of, like, in an unavoidable, tragic situation. But hey, it looks like things aren't going to be over in Chapter 107. Way too much story to go on. We still got at least 20 chapters to resolve all the crap that we have here. And plus the 3rd season of the anime's kicking off. Oh god. Rumor has it that we're only going to get 12 episodes of that, which annoys me. I was really hoping we'd get, like, up until the sea. I thought that would have been a good, you know, 24 episode ending point. But apparently there are going to be some changes. Ishiyama wasn't happy with this section of the manga, so the anime is going to be doing some revisions. So I'm curious to see that when it premieres. But yeah, definitely a lot of messed up moral ambiguity, and it's really interesting. I would love, the guy Explanation Point made a video talking about how like Attack on Titan serves as like a good my first anime, the whiny teen angsty anime, and that is true. That is sort of like the central appeal of it in the terms of like, we're teenagers, we're against these titans, we're so angsty because we're gonna change the world, this cruel, oppressive world. It's so mean and cruel. Versus this time jump where things have become much more politically complicated, much more morally ambiguous. And it's interesting to see if this will kill the series, if this kills the core appeal of the series, given how morally gray things are and how, Eren is slowly becoming this genocidal maniac. And now we're seeing his ideals applied on a scale that just causes harm and misery for innocent people. No better than, Bertolt and Rainer and Annie when they broke into the walls. So, a lot of good moral ambiguity here and good shit, because, the light times make the darker times that much better. And, this is a good light chapter. This is the kind of backstory I was looking for, and, it's good stuff. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. I always love to hear your feedback to go along with it. I know some of you guys are angry for me calling the Walldians terrorists, but after this chapter, I think it makes it abundantly clear that Eren's attack was a terrorist action. But, it's good stuff. I am really enjoying it, and, it was a good chapter. So thanks for hanging out. Remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.